hopefully you all are here. So let's try this again. Can you all hear me now? I feel like a Verizon commercial. I've just restarted the webinar. All right, so let's see. Does this work? Do you all hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yay! Okay, good, because I was actually going to have to start like using bad words, and that wouldn't really be good because we don't really want that to happen, do we? All right, so now that you all can hear me, and you missed my great intro, it was like the best intro I've ever done, of course. So now that you can hopefully hear me, and hopefully see slides, like you can see that whole 7 keys to creating powerful content. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Oh gosh, you guys are so cool because you're patient and you're understanding. And life isn't perfect, and technology is great when it works, and technology is also great when there's no user error. And in this particular case, there was user error. And I could go into why there was user error, but anyway, whatever. So what I'd like to say about content and why this is so important to me, this is the intro that you missed before, is that it's not just about, oh, I need to post on Facebook and LinkedIn, or I need to write my e-zine this week, or I need to write a blog post. For me, it goes much deeper than that. It's really about the whole, here's what I do in the world, and here's how I'm amazing. And where I see a lot of people get stuck, and we all have this, we all have our own our roadblocks and our limiting beliefs, and some of it could be due to how we were raised, or society doesn't want us to toot our own horn. That's bad. You don't sit there and say how awesome you are, and we should, because that's how we can help people. Because when we know what it is that we do and how great we are and how amazing, then that actually connects to the kind of content we create. And that may seem a little airy fairy to you, but what I've discovered in my many years of being in business. I started my business back in 2001, and it is my sole business. In other words, I don't do this part-time. I don't have another job where I do this at night. This is my business. And not that there's anything wrong with doing your business part-time, but I want you to know that I've had to figure it all out, just like you. I've had to figure out what works, what doesn't work. And my particular area is in creating content. And it's not just creating content to create content. Oh, I got to do that darn social media. I've got to do my weekly e-zine. It's about creating powerful content that's going to connect with your people, your audience, your tribe, get your message and what you do across, and make a difference. And that's what I really, really want for you. So, for those of you who do not know me, I have labeled myself the content creator extraordinaire. And that comes from really being able to, as I said before, claim what it is I'm good at, what I'm amazing at, as well as be able to help people understand what it is I do. I used to say I was a creativity and writing coach. And while that's true, it's a little, for a lot of people, I think it was either boring, or they didn't know what that was, or how I could help them. What is a creativity coach? And when I've seen other creativity coaches, I realize I kind of don't do the same thing that they do, which is fine. I don't have to do the same thing. But I think when people think of a creativity coach, they didn't think of what it was that I was doing. So I knew I needed something that was more clear and more just more concisely stated what it is I do for people. I have owned my own business, as I said, since 2001. And since 2010, I have been the sole provider pretty much for my family. Got married last year, and so now my husband Mark is part of that. But before Mark, it was me and my girls, and I had to support them. So my business has supported me and us, for which I'm very grateful. I'm an online business manager for a very few select business owners. And what that means is some of the systems that I've created for my business, I've shared with them and I implement in their businesses. If you don't know me, what you'll soon learn about me is I am all about processes and systems. And then there's the woo woo side of me where I'm about intuition and empathy and spirituality. But that whole systems and processes, I do that in my sleep. Uh, and so that's why my clients, whether they're my online business manager clients or my private coaching clients, they find that really valuable. I customize and lead programs for corporations to work on their writing skills and customer service skills, all about communication and how they can communicate better. My main purpose, which I have really been working on over the last several years, and it continues to evolve, is to help people uncover their deeper message and then how to clarify that message and then create the content from that message. I'm an author and speaker, mother and partner, as I said, to an amazing man, Mark, and I'm busy. I have a lot to do. When we own our own businesses, there is no shortage of things to do. So let's go ahead and get started. I have been told that I talk really fast, and so I'm going to try to slow myself down. When I get excited, I tend to go, and I realize that might be hard for you to keep up. Um, the funniest thing about that is somebody said something about you talk as fast as a Canadian, which I guess that means Canadians talk very fast. I don't know, but all I know is I've been told I talk fast. So I will again try to slow things down. I have a lot of information to share and an exciting new program to unveil, and I'm really excited about all this stuff because this is really what I do. I am the content creator extraordinaire. All right. So, content and powerful content at that is crucial for your successful business. So, to create that powerful content, and content can be so many things. And I have a list somewhere. It's one of my it's a resource I've developed over the past several years of 70 plus different kinds of content you could be creating in your business, and 70, 70, and then plus. It's a lot. There's a lot that we can be doing, and we can't do it all. So there's that. Content covers a lot of things. And then there is one of the, what do I want to call it? One of the focuses, I guess we could say the foci, I don't know if that's the right word, for content is also marketing our businesses. And that is really key in building it and making it successful. There's something that I call foundational marketing, which is the stuff that is just happening all the time. We could call it routine. That sounds a little boring, but it's going to be things like your e-zine, your blog, your social media, things that happen all the time. If you're really sophisticated and advanced, you might have an evergreen webinar, but it's things that are just happening. We can almost call it behind the scenes, but it still takes effort, but it's just happening all the time. And then there's the promotional marketing. And that is when you have a new program or a product or you're promoting a service of yours and you put that out there. Maybe that's in a solo email to your list. Maybe that is, in social media updates when you're promoting something. Some of you may have gotten my email about this. Some of you may have seen it on social media about this particular webinar. That is promotional marketing. If you're seeing some of my infographics, you get my weekly e-zine that comes out on Friday. That's foundational marketing. And what that means is all of that is content based. And one thing I want to drop in here is when I say content, I don't just mean the written word. So this is a recorded webinar, or this will be, no, this isn't a recorded webinar. As you know from the technical difficulties at the beginning, it will be. This is going to become a recorded webinar. So that recorded webinar becomes a video. And so we've got the audio plus the slides, and both of those are content. Some people just doing an audio, that's content. If you give a speech, you've probably written or at least done some bullet points for your speech, that's content. So content is so many things. It's also the emails you write. You get somebody reaching out to you with a question, you respond, that's content. You reach out and do some warm prospects. You say, hey, just wanted to let you know some of the things I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. That's content. It's huge. It's big. It's all over your business. Your entire business is really based on this foundation of content. And so my goal for you is the stronger that foundation is and the more systematized it is, the more it's going to work for you, and you're not going to feel like a chicken with your head cut off going, oh my gosh, I've got to do social media updates, and I've got to respond to this email, and I've got to go on LinkedIn, and I've got to send out my e-zine, and I've got to do a blog post. That's not fun, and I've been there, so I know. And it's not helpful. What you want is this common thread to weave through all the content that you create. All right, so and then all the different things you could write. And this was fun to put together. And you can just see there are so many things. I don't know that I think I did take this from my 70 plus thing and put it into what's called Wordle.net. And it's a really cool tool to create these neat infographics. And you can see there are so many things there. Articles and updates and your bio and train the trainer materials and an announcement and newspaper articles and blog. It goes on and on. I don't put this here for you to be overwhelmed or stressed, because I don't want to make you stressed. We've got enough stress as it is. But for you to see that when I say content, it covers a lot. It's a big umbrella. All right, so the 3 steps to creating powerful content, and I have that little graphic there, kind of thinking that we're going up the ladder, we're increasing, we're getting to the top. First is planning your content. The more you plan, the easier it is to write. And that leads you to the second step, actually writing your content. What I know from my own experience working with my private coaching clients is that when you know what to write, it makes the writing so much easier. And then the last step, and these are kind of big frameworks. The last one is to inventory your content to repurpose and reuse. I've been writing newsletters, oh my gosh, for this particular phase of my business probably since 2000, I want to say 8 or 9. That's a lot of newsletters. And at one point I went back and I inventoried all the articles I'd ever written. And some of them are, and hopefully a lot of them, but some of them are really good. And I realized I can reuse these, whether it's to republish them in my weekly e-zine, or whether it's to take snippets out of them, whether it's to create infographics, whether it's to design a teleclass or a webinar around. That content is valuable. The biggest thing that I could tell you with regard to this is don't just create your content and then it's one and done. I want you to take your content and find other things to do with it. Because when you do that, you expand your visibility and it maximizes your content. I'm a big fan of the Strengths Finders assessment, and there's Now Discover Your Strengths, which is a book, and there's Strengths Finders 2.0, which is their follow-up book. And when you buy the book, you can also take the assessment, or you can go to the website and just take the assessment by itself. But one of my strengths is maximizer. I am a huge believer in maximizing. Don't just settle for, okay, here it is, but how can you make it better? And so I bring that to almost everything. How can we get the most out of this? How can we maximize it? How can we really use this? All right, so let's start with the very first step, which is planning. First is to know your message. That's going to help you know what it is you're writing. The clearer you are on your message, what it is that you do, what it is that you stand for in your business, the easier it will be to write. And what I have to tell you is that this piece, knowing your message, it's ongoing. We evolve as humans, and that means our businesses evolve. Sometimes what you do shifts. I've had big shifts in my business. I went from back in 2001 being a virtual assistant to starting Writewell University in 2005, which did writing programs. And then I shifted that in 2010 to Writing from Your Soul. And that still really is, my big container. And even within Writing from Your Soul, I have then done kind of some smaller shifts and evolved from that creativity and writing coach to the content creator extraordinaire. And just this week, I've had yet another shift, and this one feels huge to me, of bringing in the chakra system into how you write. I'm a Libra, and I always think of the scales, the balance. I'm left brain, right brain. I'm practical versus spiritual, not versus, but it's I bring in all these opposing sides, and I am embracing that and saying that's what my business is going to be about. It's about embracing the spiritual with the practical, and the woo woo with the systems and the rituals and the processes, and bringing that all together to help people do what they need to do. So my message, just like yours, is continually evolving. So when you know your message for now, and the more concisely you can make that message statement, the better off you'll be in terms of what the heck do you write. Next is figuring out what your specific short and long term goals, because this is going to tell you what content you need to be writing now. I last December I did 4 VIP days with clients where we looked at their long-term goals, short and long-term goals, and then what that meant as far as their actions and of course the content they needed to create. While that may seem a little highfalutin to you, there's also the piece of, oh, some relief. I don't have to do everything. I don't have to do all those 70 plus things Dawn says I could be writing right now, because these are my short and long term goals. And this is what I'm focusing on, because you can't do it all. And so what I find is the planning, while that takes some time and might take some discipline, what it really does is create relief, so that you don't feel like you have to do it all. The next piece is consistent action. Just putting content out every now and then is not going to keep you in front of your target market. They're going to forget about you. So, the more that you can do and the more often that you can do your content, all sorts of forms, the more that people are going to be reminded of what you do. And what I've seen this in so many forms for me and for my clients. What happens is we become overly familiar with our own stuff, and there's no getting around that. We can't help that. I can tell you intimately what's on my website, and so I lose sight of the fact that not everybody else has that same intimate knowledge. Or I've promoted something like I can help you. I'm just kind of doing something off the top of my head. I did a webinar a couple months ago. What was it? The from concept to content. How do you take a concept and create it into content? And I've had people go, "Oh, I thought you just help people write books." And I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, yes, there are a couple of clients for whom I do that, and I help them get their first drafts and their manuscripts and all of that." but I do a lot more. That's only one piece. But for whatever reason, that was the message they heard. So I've really taken that to heart to go, I need to remind people I do all these things, content creation, and it's not just books. So for you, remembering consistent action, the consistency, putting yourself out there regularly, isn't just to remind people that you exist, but it's also to remind people of what you do because they can get um, almost blinders. Oh, I think Jane only does yoga. And what they don't realize is she does, yoga and meditation, and she does some meditation work as well. If you aren't consistent with your reaching out to people and your content, uh, you're missing out on the opportunity to remind people of who you are and what you do. And then the last piece of the planning, and this is where my my left brain comes in, is what gets measured gets done. And I have to say that knowledge is power. We've heard that before. And when I've paid more attention to my numbers, it makes a difference. There's the whole law of attraction because what I'm focusing on is what's going to get some results, but it's also I can make connections. You know, I have been posting on Pinterest on a regular basis. And so I'm seeing my Pinterest numbers go up and I'm seeing people comment on my Pinterest and that goes into my Facebook. And I did action A and oh, I got result B. I can make those connections. If you don't measure it, one, you don't see the results of what you've done. And if you're not measuring it, it's really easy to let it just kind of go by the wayside. If you're measuring it, you're more likely to do it. All right, so this is a tool that I use. I use a lot with, well, of course, in my own business, but also with my clients' businesses, especially when I did those VIP planning days. And it was the idea of keeping my goals in front of me, having very specific goals with target dates, three, and of course, it could be more actions that are going to get me there, and whatever notes. So, to give you an example from my business, one of my goals is to add 750 people to my mailing list by the end of this year. So, very specific 750 people by December 31st, 2015. Some actions to get me there: doing a Just Right workshop giveaway on social media, paid Facebook ads, doing more local speaking, and free trainings. Now, my notes are things like, okay, for speaking, I've got to send out some query letters. So I'm going to have my VA do some research about what are some venues, local venues, for me to send these speaking queries to. These goals and those actions tell me what kind of content I'm going to need to create. So if I'm going to market a Just Right workshop giveaway, well, that means I need to write the social media, the updates, the things I'm going to put out in social media to get people to enter the Just Right giveaway. If I'm going to do a Facebook ad, I have to write the ad. And Facebook has, oh my goodness, they have some pretty stringent requirements. If you use an image, the image can't have more than 20% text. And I fight with that all the time because what I think of as 20% text, they think is much more. So I find that difficult, but it means I have to spend some time crafting that image as well as the text that goes along with that Facebook ad. Query letters. I have to write the darn query letter. I have to draft it. Yes, my VA can send it out. And I was talking with her today, and she said, do I have to write it? And I said, no, I will draft it. And she can give me some feedback on it. But, as the content creator extraordinaire, I tend to, um, I tend to write all this stuff myself. But I've got to write that. If I do training webinars and classes, well, I've got to write that content, just like I had to write the content for this webinar. I have the slides that you see, and I have a trainer's guide that's kind of helping me follow along. Um, I don't ever do a word by word script. I'm kind of awful at that because I tend to uh, whatever you call that, extemporize, and a little bit of, oh, what do they call for the comedy people when they do the whatever they call, and they just do off the cuff stuff. I can't follow a script exactly, so I'd probably make a really bad theater person because I can't follow a script exactly. Um, marketing the training, all of that is content. So when I have goals with my target dates and my actions to get me there, that is going to help determine the content I need to write. All right, let's see. The next piece is what I call the content planning worksheet. What I found is that there are 5 content areas. So when I talk about the 7 keys, these 5 areas are part of those 5, and then the first one is this content planning. And then we talk about the website free gift, the website and your free gift. I kind of bring that into 2 separate ones actually, because those are 2 big. Oh, Michelle says improv. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. See, if it was scripted, I would have had that in my script. Therefore, this isn't scripted. Thank you, Michelle. Uh, so going back to the content planning worksheet, website is one because our websites are huge and there are all these pages, and oh my gosh, I have given trainings on website that are multi sessions because it's a big deal. There's your free gift. There's blogging, articles, social media, and then that last key is repurposing and marketing your content. So I use um, this content planning worksheet for me to help identify, and for my clients to help identify, where are you in these areas? And if there's anywhere between, I'd say, a 1 and a 4 or a 1 and a 3.5, there's probably some content that you need to work on for that. And so that is going to, again, inform the kind of content you should be working on. All right. Elements of a successful planning system. Prioritize. I've already mentioned all these things that you could be working on. There's your website and your free gift and social media and blogs and e-zines, and then there's the getting your message out into the world, and there's foundational marketing and promotional marketing. It is a lot. So you have to prioritize. And when you have a planning system in place, it helps you prioritize. And then you get that relief of, oh, yeah, I can't do it all right now. And so let me prioritize. And there's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Next is, and there's no way around this, is putting content creation time into your calendar. You might be disciplined enough to know, okay, yeah, I've got to work on this and I'll work on it. But if it's not top of mind, it tends to slip to the back of your mind. I have in my own daily calendar posting on social media, and I have a social media plan. I post certain things on Mondays, certain things on Tuesdays, certain things on Wednesdays, etc. I know what my priorities are from the goals that I've set, knowing that, okay, I have this webinar, the 7 keys to creating powerful content. So I've got to create the slides, I've got to create the trainer guide, I've got to create the marketing. I know that's my focus for this time period. And so I can put that into my calendar. And then you have to keep those appointments. I remember a woman who was working on her book. She was writing her book, and she scheduled like Tuesday, 2 to 4. And what she told me was, that time is the time I am happiest to give away. So when a client might say, oh, I need to chat with you, or can we book a coaching session? She'd go, sure, Tuesday, 2 o'clock. I'm not doing anything. She was happy to give away that time because it was scary and blah, blah, blah. If you keep those appointments, you are more likely to create the content. I made a decision last year in August that I was going to have my easing come out every week instead of every 2 weeks. And I've kept to that. And it's sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I get, to the week. Tomorrow's Thursday, and so I'm gonna have to make sure I get Friday's newsletter out. And it's a little bit like, oh man, couldn't I just skip it? And then I go, no, I can't because I've committed to getting my content out there. Then the next elements are breaking that work down into chunks. When I was putting together this webinar and the program that I'm going to unveil to you guys in a little bit, it was like, work on the webinar. Okay, great. Well, it felt really overwhelming. So what I did is I created this. I just opened up a document on my computer and I just started going, da 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 da. There's this, and I probably have 13 things on that to-do list that needed to be done. Okay, all right. So then it's like, what's number one? Okay, do that. All right, did that. Number two. When you break it down into chunks, it's much more manageable. And then you're just following, number one. When it's too big, it feels way too scary and too impossible. But when you break it down into the smallest steps as possible, that makes it easier. And that's the last one, make it as easy as possible. All sorts of things here. Is there something else you can reuse? Is there something else that you've done before that maybe you can insert here? Like I said, I've been teaching stuff on websites for years and years and years. So I'm sure some of the content I'll share with you tonight is actually stuff that I probably started teaching years ago, but I couldn't tell you that, oh, this piece is exactly from blah, 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 because I've incorporated it so much into what I coach on and what I train on. But I also know, go back and look for that stuff and see if I can incorporate it. And sometimes I don't follow my own advice. I had that pretty little Wordle that I showed you with all the content things. So I went and created it and had fun. I realized I'd created one a couple of years ago. Like, oh, I kind of forgot I did that. Um, if I had remembered that I'd already done that, it would have been really easy. Oh, I've already done that. So there are times, like I said, that I don't always follow my own advice. I do try, because I know these systems that I've created do work when you work them. All right. So let's start with the first one, your website, and it's not about you. And I like to use this piece from the movie that came out a few years ago. He's just not that into you, and it's I've obviously adapted it a bit. Your website, it's not about you. It really isn't. It is about the people who are visiting your website and the people who are trying to learn about you and the things you have to offer. So when you can think of it in that vein, that it's not about you, it's about them, even your bio page, because it's what is it that they need to know about you that's going to make a difference. Then you start to create a little bit of a different content. So here is a website checklist that you can think about for your own existing website, or if you need to revamp it, this is a checklist you can use. Or I doubt that anybody, on the call or watching the recording is, or on the webinar, it's not a call. That's old technology, doesn't have a website. But I will say one of my longtime coaching clients, last year we created her very first website and I helped her with the content. So you never know. First is, do you offer products or programs for sale? If you do you have some way to make that sale, some way for them to be able to buy what you have? Do you have a way to add people to your mailing list, your database? And what that means is, do you have some way for people to give you your name and email address? There's the technology piece, but then there's also the, why would they give you their name and email address? I'm sure your email is overrun like mine is. And so you're probably a bit discerning when it comes to Do you want to sign up for this thing? It used to be probably 10 years ago. You could just have on your website, sign up for my newsletter. Okay, I'll do that. Blah, blah, blah. Now it's, oh, yeah, if I sign up for this, that's going to be on my email and da da da. I probably won't read it. What's better is if there is some information there that entices people, go, oh, I want that. And they're willing to give you their name and email. Then there is, and this goes to the maximizer part of me, is that when people say, yes, I want your free gift or I want your information, and they give you their name and email address, do you send them to a page on your website, or is it that system, that ugly, generic, bland system hosted page that comes from your contact management provider, whether that's One Shopping Cart or Infusionsoft, Constant Contact, MailChimp, whatever. And then there is, if people sign up on your website, do you have any kind of follow-up system in place? And do you have free, valuable content and resources on your site where they can get information right there? They don't have to, they don't have to buy a program, buy a service, buy a product. Not that that's bad, but probably right out of the gate, they're not going to do that. I'm One of my colleagues is a website designer, and she's actually starting to partner with someone who works deep in the trenches in Google and Microsoft. And what he is telling her is that really it's down to valuable content on your website and um, pay per click, which I'm not even going to go there. And that's where you put ads on, Google searches or whatever. But that first part is where I want to focus. Valuable content on your website, and that does more for you than whatever SEO program or keywords or whatever that you can put in, is valuable content. So I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this. All right. What I recommend is that, especially for the top pages on your website, the home, which is the most visited the most visited page, about, which is your second most visited page, and then your top services and products pages, is go through it and make sure you apply these 6 things to each page. First, headline, which should be some sort of pain point where you're speaking to your audience and whatever their particular challenges and pains are. Formatting. Is it easy to read? Is there some white space to give the eye a bit of a rest? Have you gone crazy with using 28 different fonts? Because, woohoo, look, I can use 28 different fonts. Colors, etc. Or is it easy on the eye? Have you used graphics, which you really want to intersperse for variety and readability? Remember that people are skimming. Very few people are reading word for word. So content is important. And I know that, they're not reading word for word. You're like, Dawn, you're saying content's important, but then you're telling me that people aren't reading word, every word. In some cases they're not, in some cases they are, and you need to cover all your bases. So there's your content, there's the actual meat of what you're getting across. And then graphically, because reading is a visual activity, you want to make sure that there is visual variety. And formatting in that number 2 bullet is part of that, but graphics are as well. And then the focus. What is the main point you're trying to get across? What's your main purpose for this particular page? And you really want to be able to distill it down to one sentence. That doesn't mean your whole page is just one sentence. It means in a one sentence description what your focus is for that page. If you can't do that, then that means you aren't clear enough. And if you aren't clear enough, the website visitor won't be. You need to have a call to action on every single page, even if it's something very, what do we want to say, innocuous maybe, like For more great information on what I do, you might be interested in my top most popular blog posts, and you could link to those. What you don't want to have happen is that they get to the bottom of the page and there's nothing for them to do. And there's nothing on that page for them to do because they just might stop and close the page. So give them somewhere else to go. And then finally, that call to action. Why? Why should someone click the link, click the button, sign up? What's in it for that person? When you are clear with these 6 areas, your content on your website is going to be that much better. So what I've done, and I work from this, is create a website action plan. And you can see there's right here, it says phase 1. And that's because I have a phase 1 and a phase 2 and a phase 3. Phase 1 is high priority. Phase 2 is I'd like to do this, but it's not front burner. It goes on the back burner, but I don't want to forget it. And so I have my actions. What do I need? When's it due? Every so often, I have it in my calendar. Remember scheduling in your calendar to work on the website. And I go to my website action plan and I say, so what's up for me? What's the next thing I need to be working on? And sometimes I reevaluate. Oh, 6 months ago, I thought this was going to be most important, but I'm really seeing that this needs to move up in priority. And so I do that. Remember, you're not going to do all this at once. It's creating a system so that all your content works together. There's that common thread of your message and purpose that weaves it all together, and that then you can work on all these pieces. It's not all going to happen at once. Sorry, this is not the quick fix. I don't do quick fixes. I can give you some ideas and resources and things to make it easier, but you're not going to create a website in a day, and you're not going to create a free gift in a day, and you're not going to write, a year's worth of blog posts in a day, maybe. And that could be a cool challenge, right? A year's worth of blog posts in a day, but don't hold yourself up to that. Okay, that's website. Now let's move on to your free gift. And I also call it a free taste. And the reason I call it a free taste is because you can't give them everything. Not just because you don't want to give away the farm, but there's that piece of, if people are coming to your website and they're fairly new to you and they're doing that whole, oh, she looks like she's got some interesting content, or she's got this interesting free report or this interesting system, I'm going to sign up for it. If they're not familiar with you and you give them this 48-page free report, more than likely they're not going to read it all. And you want them to use your information. So that's why I call it a free taste. Not because you're being stingy, but actually because you don't want to overwhelm them with an entire meal. All right. So this free gift, this free taste, it's it's that little bit. Again, not being stingy, just you want to give them enough to get them going. It's an easy, low risk, usually no cost way for people to get a sense of who you are. The reason I say usually no cost is because you'll see some free gifts are CDs. Like, get my free CD and we'll mail it to you, and you just have to pay like the $1 or $2 for shipping. So yes, it's very low cost, but most people are like, oh, I want it. I don't mind paying $1 or $2 for shipping. It creates what I call an ethical exchange. They're giving you their name and email address in exchange for your helpful information. And most people know that when they sign up for whatever your free gift, your free taste is, that then they're going to be on your list. Most people know that. Some people may not, but most people do. And they want your information so much that they're willing to do that, which leads me to the goals of your free gift. You want it to showcase your expertise, what it is that you're amazing at. That thing where I said you've got this unique gift, this magic, this, nobody else can do it quite like you because nobody else is you. We all have competitors in our industries None of us are, oh, nobody else does what I do. If you are, then let me know, and I'll happily change this part of my presentation. But it's, what makes us amazing and unique. So you want to showcase that piece. Solve a common problem. For me, it's, the problem that I'm hoping that I'm helping to solve is writing is hard, or all this content that I need to create. I'm not sure where to start, and I don't know what to say. And do people really want to hear what I have to say? And what I'm trying to solve is helping people to see they do have something to say. Oh, and here are all the different ways you can say it. Another goal is to show people how to work with you. Because if you're doing your free gift at, if you've maximized it, then more than likely at the end, there's some way of, if you liked this, then you might be interested in my fill in the blank. Or why don't we set up a time to chat and we can talk about what you need in the areas of fill in the blank, and I can see if I have anything that works for you. So it's a way to gently lead people into others' ways to work with you. It's going to grow your list, because your list is your livelihood. And finally, again, I can't say this enough, it should be a taste, not a whole meal. My Writing from Your Soul system, which is what you get whenever you sign up on my website, for the opt-in for the the free 13-step Writing from Your Soul system, and it's, oh, I don't remember how many pages. It might be 20-ish pages. It used to be much larger. And there was all this, what you need to do before you get started. And here's this and here's that, before I even got to the 13 steps. And I was working with a business coach, and she said, oh my gosh, it's too much. It's too much. Nobody's going to read all this. I went, oh, but it's all really good. Yeah, it's really good. But if they're not reading it, they don't know that it's really good. So make it be something that they can digest easily and put to use. You want it to be useful. And the last thing I want to say about the free gift and the free taste, and this is the piece where I think a lot of people fall down, is after people sign up for your free gift, do you have any kind of follow-up in place? And I don't mean, oh, well, they're on my list, so they're going to get my newsletter and they're going to get any promotional emails, but something that speaks exactly to what they signed up for. If you have something like that in place, it's going to help your new subscriber figure out who you are and all the different things you do. It's a way to maybe get her to use your stuff. You might see an email saying, just checking in, have you opened your new Writing from Your Soul system? Yeah, here's what I think I do this on one of my follow-ups. Here's what you'll find on page 8. Because what I'm hoping is that somebody goes, oh, that looks kind of cool. No, I haven't opened it up, but let me go open it up and find page 8. And then it also gives you the opportunity to then fold in other things that you're doing that might be other services and products and programs that you might be interested in. And if you're listening to this, reading this, and thinking, oh gosh, it's all salesy and it's all blah blah blah, think of it as you offer a valuable service or product. But if people don't know that you do that, or you don't make it available, that's not helping them. If you truly believe in what it is that you do and what it is you offer to the world, then you shouldn't have any problem, or not as much of a problem, because we all get in our own way. Believe me, I do too. To say, hey, if you're struggling here, I can help you with that. That's a good thing to do. That's not a smarmy thing. And I guess this isn't the last thing I wanted to say about free gift, because I just want to put in front of you what different free gifts and free tastes can look like. You have all these options. It doesn't have to be a white paper or this long report. It could be all sorts of things. It could be a video series, an audio series. It could be some worksheet that you've done. It could be a quiz. It could be an assessment, checklist. It could be all sorts of things. It doesn't have to be this long drawn out thing. It can be all sorts of things. All right, let's move on to blogs. And I differentiate between blogs and articles that go in your ezine. If you think of them as the same thing, then just sort of merge all this information together. For me, so I do see blogging as different from the articles that go out in my ezine. My blogging is a bit more casual. I have a wider variety of topics I can talk about today. I posted a blog post on had a screenshot from House of Cards, which we've been watching on Netflix, and we blew through the season, and we're done with the current season. We have to wait till next year to see the next season. But I posted the screenshot and talked. It's a screenshot of them using a Mac computer, which I'm thinking, really, they're using a Mac? I'm thinking they probably use PCs in the White House. But what do I know? I wrote that. It's much more, it's conversational. It's about, current, social events, like, what's on TV. I'm not going to write about that in my weekly ezine because I need that to be more formal. But with my blogging, I can have much more variety and leeway, and I don't want to say constricted because I don't necessarily feel that my ezine is constricting me. It's just very focused. So for me, I look at what are my blogging goals? And I have down there that the rule of thumb is 3 times a week for you to really make the most out of your blog and up your viewership and up your content and SEO and Google loving you because you have all this fresh new content all the time. My blogging goal, honestly, is my ezine article gets posted on the blog once a week because my ezine comes out once a week. So that's one. And then I write another blog. So my goal is actually 2 a week because that's what I have found that I can handle. So while the rule of thumb may be 3 times a week, I have figured out what works for me, and that's the schedule that I have created, and then I really stick to it. Tuesdays or Wednesdays are usually my blogging days because my ezine comes out on Friday. So I want there to be some spacing in between when my blog post comes out and when my article comes out on the blog. I have a blogging calendar. Like I said, I know it's Tuesday/Wednesday, and I have my list of blog posts and an idea of when they're going to come out. So next week, I know what the blog is going to come out. That's going to come out either Tuesday or Wednesday. Pre-writing as many as you can. And I recently taught a class on this for my Creating Content Club members on the system that finally I found that works for me on just being able to bang out a whole bunch of blog posts at once. And I did like 8, and it's been so nice to have these 8 blog posts mostly pre-written so that when it comes to Tuesday or Wednesday, boom, I can just finish it up and post it. Makes my life so much easier. Part of that is that as soon as you get an idea, write as much as you can because the more you have written, the more likely you are to finish it and fill it out if it needs anything filled out. If you just say in your mind, oh, I should write a blog post on blah, 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 chances are less likely that you might go back and actually do it. Okay. What do you write about? Shorter is better. It can be anything from a sentence to paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs. But if people are subscribed to your blog, then the shorter they are, the more likely they are to read them. Start thinking in bullets and numbered lists. You're not constrained to some of the more formal writing structures that you are with an article. In an article, you could certainly use bullets and numbered lists, but you're going to flesh that out, and it's going to be much more journalistic, if I may, than, say, a blog post. Think graphically. Maybe you take a photograph or, an infographic or meme, you post that and you write about it. That's it. Quotations. Pay attention to the world around you. One of the things I like to do on my blog is I post every now and then personalized license plates. Since I'm all about words, I'm just fascinated by what people do with their license plates. And so sometimes I will post those because it fits in my general schema of what I do, but I'm not going to write an article about personalized license plates. I can do that on my blog. And then you have specific categories. For me, it's things like the writing process, writing well, creativity, systems and processes, whatever. Those are the different areas that I have funneled myself into. And so that helps guide the different things I might write about in my blog. And then finally, to make the most of what you've written on your blog, you want to link it to your social media outlets. Um, if you have a Facebook business page, like whatever they call it, the public figure page, you want to post that manually, if you can, and then even share it back via your personal profile if you use your personal Facebook profile for business. Add your Google Plus signature link to individual posts. So, for example, on all my blog posts and my articles that go on my blog, I have by Dawn Schuler, and the by Dawn Schuler links to my Google Plus profile because Google owns the internet. Google's the largest search engine. So, anytime I can connect it to Google, that's going to help me more. The more you blog, the better because, again, Google loves fresh content and their little, busy little search bots are going to know when you have new content. Ask for comments, engage discussion. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Get people to talk with you via your blogs. And add keywords, tags, and categories. Even if, as my colleague is working with this, this guy who is deep into Google and Microsoft, even if that's not the key to really getting you high SEO, and links, or what do they call that? Like when you're up on the, you're on the first page of a Google search. It doesn't hurt to do that either. So takes just a few seconds, get your VA to do it, but get those keywords, tags, and categories in there. All right, now we'll talk about the dreaded e-zine. And the reason I call it dreaded is I don't know any client with whom I've ever worked who has said, I love doing my e-zine. Most of the time when I'm working intimately with them, they go, God, I've got to do my e-zine again for the week. And it's this huge, it can be this huge struggle. So a lot of what I do with them is trying to find ways to make it easier. Um, and there's always tweaking. I've got one client who, when I look at where her e-zine has evolved from say 3 years ago, we've added sections, we've done different things to promote it on social media. It has evolved. Just like everything else that you're doing, it's evolving. So don't feel like you've got to have the perfect system in place right now for any of this, e-zine or any of it. It's going to evolve. The point is to get some sort of system in place. All right. So, as far as what you might be, what you might be writing, what you could write, it is a little bit more formal than the blogs if you do differentiate. So you want to think about what kind of content you could write for your e-zine. Think about what's helpful for you in your industry. So for me, for example, how is it that I do the things that I help my client, I coach my clients, the writing, the editing, the creating, and brainstorming. So, and I've got to do all that myself. So what do I find helpful for me? So I write about that. What strategies do you use? Top 10 lists, how-tos, tips and technologies, highlights from your own material and other places, trends in your particular industry or what's new. In writing, there's not a whole lot of different ways to do it. There could be some trends, but I don't have that as much of my as much of a thing to write about. And then going further, expanding. I talk about the 3 steps to writing. There's the creating, idea generating, brainstorming is step 1. writing is step 2, and editing is step 3. In any one of those steps, I can go much further and go deeper. There's a saying, an inch wide and a mile deep. So those are some things that you can write about. And then marketing your e-zine. How do you get it out there? Well, first of all, if you have people who signed up for your free gift, more than likely, then they're on your list to get your e-zine, however often you publish it. If you do public speaking, offline, meaning in person, then have some way for people to sign up for your e-zine. For more information, there are other ways to do this that might be more attractive, but I don't want to distract and go too far afield. But definitely try to get those signups, those contacts from anything you do out in the offline world. Post your articles on article submission sites. Use social media to drive people to your website, which is, passive, but then hopefully when they get there, they'll want to sign up for your free gift, which then means they're getting your e-zine articles, which then is a way for them to get more information about your expertise and what it is you do in the world. And you can even be a little more active in just using social media to advertise your free gift directly. Again, driving people back to your website so that they sign up for your free gift, get on your mailing list. Your list is your livelihood. All right. Social media. Um, like it, love it, don't want to use it at all. That is all fine. And it is a great vehicle for you to get your content out there. 70% of online adults use social networking sites. That means 70%, and that number is more than likely growing every day, are on some social media site. And of course, depending on age range and interests, is going to determine what site that they're on. For example, Instagram is a lot of teenagers and young 20s. Doesn't mean, we old fogies can't be on it, but it just means if your particular service or product is targeting um, teenagers and people in their 20s, you really want to be on Instagram. Um, if you're, old fogey like me, um, then Facebook might be where you want to be. If you're really targeting more professional, then LinkedIn might be the social media outlet that is your thing. The point is, people are on social media, and so you really want to be there too. And if you are there but you're not there wholeheartedly, then do what you can to get there wholeheartedly. So why do you even want to use social media? Well, first, it increases that know, like, trust factor. Um, I decided a long time ago, and this is one of my, when I teach about social media, I talk about creating your philosophy. When I decided to be on Facebook, I knew I wanted it to serve two different purposes. I wanted to be able to connect personally with people, my friends, my high school people, etc., as well as be able to connect professionally. So everything I post for me has to be appropriate for both those audiences. I also know that when I post things like my artwork or going to a movie or a movie I've seen, it also shows I'm a real person. Again, I'm also connecting personally with people, but then the business world, the people that are on there that are, more colleague-y, more client-y, they also get to see that I'm a real person with real interests. And because one of my top values is connection, I want people to see the real me. I want people to know who I am. I want people to know um, I, I'm weird, and I'm really interested in this whole chakra thing. And because guess what? If they don't like that and they think that's too weird and way too woo woo for them, you're not going to be probably not a good friend and not a good client for me anyway. So, I might as well go ahead and post it and take my chances. All right. It also puts you top of mind of your community. Some of the social media outlets, Facebook is famous for this, doesn't show everything you do. It only shows about 20% of the posts. See, how can I say this? It's only about 20% of what you post actually gets shown on your connections news feeds. And so there's the whole reason to post more consistently. But it's also the more you do, the more it gets you, top of mind. Because people go, oh yeah, that's right. She works with people who write books or who are trying to do their website or whatever. They go, oh yeah, that's right. Um, if you follow me on Facebook, then I'm really into some artwork, and I do Zentangles and all that. And recently, as I've been posting stuff on Facebook, I get more likes and comments on those than I do of some of my more, call it professional or average posts. And some were from people, former and prospective clients whom I hadn't heard from in a while, which means they saw something from me. Even if it was artwork, they saw something from me. It allows you to connect. Oh my gosh, I have so many examples for this. I've connected with former colleagues because I needed a referral resource for clients because people are always asking me, do you know any VAs? And so I'm always trying to have that list of VAs. And I saw her on Facebook, and I went, oh yeah. And I reached out to her, and we had a conversation, and now she's on my list to refer. Also recently connected with someone who was in my mom's club group back in a really long time ago, considering my daughters are 18 and 16. It was a really long time ago. And we're going to get together this weekend. That's really cool. I get to connect. It allows you to showcase what you're doing in an authentic, non pushy way. So I can, happily post the awesome things that my clients are doing because I'm really pleased for them. And it also, there's the underlying implication of, ooh, Dawn helped make that happen. So what can you do in that same vein to celebrate your clients' accomplishments and your customers' accomplishments? But then the underlying thread through that is because I'm awesome at what I'm doing. It allows you to network. Oh my gosh, people have asked me more than once if I do grant writing, and no way, no how do I. I don't want to. I don't want to learn it. And luckily, I connected with somebody from my high school from the Dallas area, Dallas, Texas, and I live in Maryland, and now she's in DC. And I saw her on Facebook, and she said something about doing grant writing. And I'm like, oh, thank God, somebody who does grant writing. And I connected with her, and I learned a little bit more about her business, and now I can refer people to her. And it was a hole that I had in my network. So it allows me to network and, hey, cool, Kimberly does this, and she also can learn more about me. And oh, hey, Dawn does this. You can actually get clients. Wow, what a what a concept. Um, I've had people sign up for webinars like this based on my posts in Facebook. I've actually had people private message me on Facebook and LinkedIn with job what do you call it, job proposals, where they've asked me, hey, I've got this writing assignment or this content creation assignment, can you give me a quote for it on Facebook? It all happened on Facebook message. I thought that was the first time that happened, I thought that was the weirdest thing. And now it's like, okay, it's just another avenue. So don't downplay the power of social media. And because there are so many social media outlets, and there are so many things that you could do, you do have to choose where you're going to spend your time. So my first success strategy for social media is you pick one that you're going to rock. That's where you're going to spend most of your time. That's where you're going to create your consistent social media marketing plan. That's where, and this should be where, most of your peeps are hanging out. And then you can fold in others. But you really want to pick one to rock. Success strategy number 2 is scheduling time to work on social media. So this is a calendar system thing I created several years ago, and most everything I created is because I needed it, and then I've adapted it, tweaked it, shared it with clients, gotten their feedback, and then I get to share it with you like this. What I did is I filled this out for my three that I was really working. Facebook is my number one, and then after that is this is new as of like a year ago, LinkedIn, and then Pinterest, and then the other ones kind of fold in a little bit. But I know that to make this the most to be consistent, to get the most out of it, I need to schedule it. And so for Facebook, one of the things I did was decide what kinds of things am I going to post on Monday? What am I going to post on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? That makes things a little easier because then I'm not having to try to figure out, oh, what the heck do I post today? So Tuesdays I post a writing prompt. Wednesdays I post an infographic. Thursday I post an excerpt from one of my products, the Ready Set Write manual. Friday is usually an inspirational infographic quotation um, on either creativity or motivation or whatever. And then going back to Monday's usually a, hey, it's a new week and what are you working on and blah, blah, blah. So since I have that structure, it's much easier for me to fill in what in the world I need to be writing. And then success strategy number 3 is tracking your numbers. And I mentioned this earlier, and the good thing about this is not only is, what you focus on, what gets measured gets done, but what you focus on expands. That's another important thing. But it's also for you to be able to see connections. So when I do this, I also can write down in to the side if anything significant happened. Like, oh, I just gave a presentation for this event, and that's why I've got 20 new subscribers. So I can see why because I write that down, and I can see the connection between what I've done and what happens. All right. So before we go into the 7th key area, so let me backtrack. The first key area was planning. Second was website. Third was your free gift. Fourth is blogging. 5 is articles you're easing. 6 is social media. So before we go into number 7, what I want to ask you is, are you feeling a little overwhelmed? And I hope you're not, because that's not really don't want you to feel overwhelmed. And putting this all together and creating some sort of system is what's going to be the answer to that overwhelmed. So I do perhaps have an answer for you, and it is the new program that I am unveiling, and it's called the Complete Content Creation Training and Mentoring Program. And it is an 8-month program that is creating for you a step-by-step system to create that foundation of powerful content to clarify your message, establish your expertise, and maximize your visibility. Again, it's an 8-month program where you get 7 modules where we'll go way deeper in all these 7 content areas. I have so much content to share, and I can't even, this webinar would be like 10 hours long if I went as deep as I could. So instead, I've broken it up to where we can spend a module on each of these areas, really go deeper, really give you even more tools and strategies for how to get this done. Like with the free gift where I said the best thing that you can do with it is have a follow-up system. I actually give you my template for that I created that has like my 7 email follow-up system. And that way you can use that as a template for you to create your own. So it's a lot of, I guess we could call that done for you, resources, templates, exercises for us to go much deeper in these 7 areas that we're just not able to do in a webinar like this. Tools, resources, and worksheets for each module. If you've ever been on any of my webinars or done any of my things, you know that I love worksheets and I love tools. I love exercises. I love tips and strategies. And I get really excited actually about creating those and sharing them. It also comes with 3 live Q&A sessions. So you can come on, you can ask any questions you want, get laser coaching on whatever issue is up for you at the moment. It's really a great way to get instant feedback and get your questions answered from me. You get a private 60-minute strategy call with me where we'll use, you'll see it soon. It's what's brand new. It's what I'm calling the Content Action Plan Kit, where you and I will go through it together and create your content action plan for you, for your business, that will be with you, that you can use and tweak and add to and really adjust and make work for you, not just through this 8-month program, but beyond. 3 private additional 60-minute coaching calls anytime you want to use them throughout the 8 months to get whatever help that you need. A 30-minute content potential brainstorm session. These are one of my favorite things to do. And it's where, my private coaching clients adore this and I can't help it. And I just sort of do it off the cuff and they go, oh, that's awesome. I love this. And it's where we're talking about something it is that they're doing. And I go, oh my gosh, that could be a workshop. And then you could do this and that, da, 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 da. And all of a sudden we've created, some new way for them to bring their content out into the world. Feedback and review of any materials you send to me. That's what makes me really valuable as a writing coach, is because it's not just, oh, I can share all this content with you. But as you're writing these things and you send them to me, I'm going to give you my feedback and my review, with what you need to change, what's going to make it better, what's awesome and amazing, and what you need more of. Um, you get editing, and that is very valuable. And you get the Content Action Plan Kit, which you can see down there in the right hand corner is the beginnings of the Content Action Plan Kit. A half-day virtual retreat to help keep the momentum going. It's really easy to do all of this, get all this information about content and apply it, and then and then you might sort of stall a little bit. The half-day virtual retreat that I want to say is in October, helps keep that momentum going. Membership in the Creating Content Club, which is where we have monthly shorter trainings than this, more tools and resources, just right virtual workshops where we have every month we have 4 hours to get together and write. Open office hours with me, so you get another opportunity to ask me some quick questions, and other resources. And finally, you get the live 2-day in-person content creating and writing retreat. And what's really cool is your program fee for this program not only includes all this and the writing retreat, but at that writing retreat, it includes all meals and all lodging. And it's really awesome that I'm able to offer that. If you register by April 2nd, then you get a full year membership in the Creating Content Club, and you get to take advantage of some, very helpful, easy as I can help you make it on the pocketbook. The regular price is $3,997, but you can do an early bird payment plan with a $597 deposit and then 8 monthly payments of only $397 each, because I wanted to make that like I said, make that as easy as possible. Or you can take advantage and do a pay in full for $3,347 for the entire 8-month program. I'm I'm going to be sending more information out, with the information, with the link for you to go in and check it out. And, on the webinar, I'm hoping to, I don't know if this worked or not, but I was hoping to put the offer with the link to the website. That may have worked, it may not have, but just know that if it didn't work, you'll be getting an email later this evening with the replay plus more information about the complete Creating Content training and mentoring program. It's a little bit of a mouthful. All right, so let's get back to the last key for creating powerful content. And it is, what do you do with it once you've created it? I am a huge believer in repurposing, reusing, and marketing the content you've created. I said before, not just one and done, but do it and reuse it or repurpose it. Why you want to do this is it's smart business. It's not it it's not lazy to reuse it or reuse it in a different form. You're getting the most out of it. Um, it doesn't mean you're a better business owner if you're always creating brand new. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of pressure to always create something brand new. Take something you've already created, reuse it in its original form, repurpose it, make it better. That's what makes you a better business owner. By putting it in different forms, which we'll talk about in just a second, you're reinforcing your expertise and your brand. And you're reaching more people. So there are, the four main ways to reach people with your content: text. So like those articles that you write that, are, text, 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 words, 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 audio, video, and graphics. People respond to different forms differently. I process the world through words, the written word. I would much rather read an article than watch a video, believe it or not, because I have more difficulty processing what I'm hearing and seeing through words. If I see the words, I have sort of not quite a photographic memory, but almost I see words. And so I can process it much better if I can see it. I'm actually in the minority. Most people are visual and they love videos. So anytime you can take your content and put it in these four different forms, you will reach more people. Instead of, I'm only going to reach the people who only read words, or I'm only going to reach the people who only watch videos. It's a lot better to expand that and reach as many people as you can. So here are a couple of examples that I've done. You can see up at the top, it says there's this little infographic, 8 strategies to get in touch with your soul. That came from an article. And I had someone email me as soon as my article came out, and she said, this would make a great infographic. And I went, okay. And because I like to play around with graphics, I went into my graphics program, created that, and sent it out later that afternoon because it was fun. And I could see the value of that. And that's an infographic that stands by itself. Even though there's an entire article that goes more into depth into those 8 strategies, this stands alone. You'll see the Ready, Set, Right from Your Soul. That is a 5-week class I used to teach. Now I sell that as a manual plus the 5-week audio recordings. That came out of a much bigger class that I taught, a 24-week class, where this was a segment, and I loved this segment, and I knew I could go deeper with it, that inch wide and a mile deep. So I took that segment and expanded it into a whole separate class. Down at the bottom, you'll see this is from my Facebook business page. It's one of my writing prompts. Remember how I said on Tuesdays I post a writing prompt? That's a screenshot of one of the writing prompts. Well, it occurred to me one day, it's like, oh, since I'm the content creator extraordinaire and I do all this writing, blah, 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 it'd be really good if I did writing prompts. Oh, man, I'll have to create writing prompts. And then I realized, oh, a long time ago, I created a weekly writing prompt series called Writing on a Whim. I had 3.5 years worth. Huh. Gee, think I could use those on my, on Tuesdays when I have to do a writing prompt? Duh. Yeah. I'm so glad I don't have to write new ones. I've got 3.5 years worth. So those get posted there. Sales page for a comprehensive series I did a few years ago. I used pieces from other program sales pages where I taught those things individually. I didn't do it word for word, but at least I grabbed pieces and then could expand and change and tweak. I'm creating a new coaching package based on this this creating what is it? So the complete content creation, training, and mentoring program Eventually, the modules are going to be a standalone, and then I can take people privately through those modules. So what I've shown you tonight is a group program where, yes, you get some individual attention from me, but I'm also going to fold it into my one of my private coaching programs where they get me to walk them through it, much more extensively. But that's a way to repurpose some of this. Um, this is some of my favorite things to think about, which is expanding your content. So if we start with the article, like I said, I've got the 8 strategies to get in touch with your soul. That was an article. You saw the infographic on the other page. Um, I could take those 8 strategies. I could create an e-course to where every week they got, some sort of, training by email, and each week covered one of those 8 strategies. I could do a teleclass or webinar, the 8 strategies to get in touch with your soul. I could create a self-study or a home study product. I could create, an 8-month program around that. I could expand it, because this is about expanding your content. I could expand it into a book and go deeper. You can also take content and contract it. So we take that, again, we start with the article, and I can record it. I can just speak it. I'd read it, but I hopefully wouldn't sound like I'm reading it. I could also do a video on YouTube. And I will say I've done that. And what's hard is with my webcam, just a little inside here, is the way that I have my webcam, I can't look at the screen because then it looks like I'm looking at my screen and I'm reading. So I'm having to almost memorize my articles. And again, I don't do a script very well, so I tend to improvise. And so then I know the video isn't going to be exactly what the article was, and that's okay. But just giving you a little kind of inside look at, you can do this, and sometimes you may need to adjust how you do it. I could create 8 different blog posts, 1 blog post for each strategy, the infographic that you can see right there, and then social media. There could be, little standalone pieces that might make great tweets or other status updates on some of the social media places. What I found that really helped me make the most out of my content was doing a content inventory. And so your goal would be to do this once a quarter or at least twice a year. And then as you create new stuff, remembering to go back and add those to your inventories. And then ultimately, as you create new programs and products, classes, and articles, think about how you can use them in the future. So this is a quick snapshot of a page of one of my inventories. So you can see this is where I've got some of the presentations I've done. These are just presentations, and I've got other categories. The date that I did them, what it was, was it a teleclass? Was it an article? Was it a workshop? Any notes about it, like you can see for the 10 steps to getting that book written. I have a note. I need to listen to it first to see if it's appropriate, because I did it back in 2010. I don't remember, so I need to listen to it first. You can also see places where I say, can I expand it? Can I break it up? Can I contract it? And I've also noted some of the places where, this is more about grammar, which is, what I started doing years and years ago. I don't want to be known for that. There's already the grammar girl and other pieces. I don't want to be that person. I want to be the content creator extraordinaire. So, I've got that in there. But this is something that, I try to revisit quarterly or at least twice a year to see, is there stuff in there that I've already created that I don't have to recreate the wheel, and that I can get other different content out of, or maybe even reuse it the way that I have. All right. So before we end, does anybody have any questions about what I've covered? Or the complete content creation training and mentoring program. So I know there's a little delay in when you guys actually hear me and from when I say it. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to let me know if you have any questions over there in chat. I do see one question that uh, Morgan had. How will I repurpose today's recorded webinar beyond providing a replay? And more importantly, where will you post it to make it available to viewers, since I assume it'll be a very large file? So what I will say is I'm using Webinar Jam, which connects to the Google Plus Hangouts system. And one of the reasons why I like it is because, one, there's that whole registration system. So there was the cool page, you have different templates, it made it really easy for people to sign up, and I can connect it to one shopping cart. So there's that back end stuff. But the other thing that's really cool is that what it automatically does is it sends this file, because yes, you're right, Morgan, it would be a very large file, to YouTube automatically. I don't have to do it. I love that. And then as soon as it's done rendering, then it's a replay. And so people who registered through Webinar Jam, they can go back. I think the same link that you go to get to this webinar is also serves as your replay link. I can also, send out, here's the link to the replay. So yes, I will be providing the replay. It can be hosted by Webinar Jam because, again, they make that very easy. But since it goes straight to YouTube, I can embed that YouTube video anywhere. As far as repurposing it, because this is a public webinar, in other words, it's not like this is a private training that I'm doing for, the private program. Like, for example, when we do the webinars for the complete content creation training and mentoring program, nobody else gets access to that except for the people who are in the program. So those are private. This is public. And so what I will do is I will have, that'll be on YouTube. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. And, I will have I have so I won't have yet because it's rendering right now, or it will as soon as we end it. I will go back and add description, keywords, anything else that's going to make it more easily searchable. I did actually have somebody find one of my webinars I did for free. It was the how to prevent the 8-second bounce from your website that I co-led with a website designer. Somebody found that on YouTube. They were searching for probably website, something. And he reached out for me, and he wanted a proposal for me to help his company create a website that was going to be more attractive to their audience. But he found me on YouTube because he did a search. So Morgan, to answer your question, the first most important thing is, because this will be on YouTube and it'll be public, it will be a great thing for my for people who are searching. Has great content. It's long, yes, but if they watch it through, they'll get some really great information. In addition, I could take snippets, and I would probably add this to my content inventory. I could take snippets out and use it, click here to get a snippet of my 7 keys to creating powerful content free webinar to entice people to maybe sign up. I could maybe even break it up into a quick video series that I could offer for free. So Morgan, that's a really great question, and I appreciate your asking that. So I don't think I see any other questions right now. You can always reach out to me if you do have any further questions. I really hope that you'll get an opportunity to go check out the complete content creation training and mentoring program. If the little pop-up offer didn't work, then you'll be getting an email with information for the replay for tonight's webinar, as well as where you can go to find out information about this training program. Some great incentives for you to register by April 2nd. I only have room for 6 people. I don't know that I said that before, but this is limited to only 6 people because I'm giving so much access to me. Obviously, I'm limited into how much I can do that, but I like to do that. So I'm offering this to 6 people. Really hope that I can see you in that program. And if you have any questions, I'll look forward to chatting with you soon. Otherwise, everybody have a fabulous night, and I'll look forward to connecting you in many different ways in the future. Take care. Bye-bye.